So today in this video, we're going to show you how to do this activity in Fusion where we are making holes using the hole tool. So we're going to follow these slides as we go along. The first thing I'm going to bring up is that there are different types of holes. There's some holes that go all the way through, and then there's some holes called a blind hole that only really go partially through the component, okay? And the second thing I want to go over is these symbols. So we're going to look at a drawing in order to create a block that has different types of holes. And there you're going to see these four symbols. This top one right here, that indicates the diameter, and it's usually followed by a number and a measurement. This symbol right here is a horizontal line with an arrow going down, and that indicates the depth. And again, this also has a dimension to the right, typically, and that just indicates like the depth of a certain hole, or maybe it's a depth of the countersink hole. It just kind of depends upon the specific hole or counterbore. The countersink hole will be indicated by this V, but it's kind of like a wide V. And then a counterbore hole has this indication that looks like a step down. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the drawing. And we'll even look at this really quick so you can see what the differences are. So a simple hole is really just a hole that goes all the way through, okay? A counterbore hole, it has this like larger circle that goes down a certain depth, and then a smaller diameter circle in the middle that goes down further. And then the countersink hole, it's kind of like an angled V, just like that top, if you look at this section view. And then it goes down to, it kind of looks like a funnel, if you think about it, and then it goes down to a smaller diameter in the middle. And again, on this left side, this is a through hole, means they all go all the way through. On the right side, if you notice, it's the same three holes, however, they don't go all the way through. And you can see based on this isometric view and then also this section view below. And we call those types of holes blind holes, okay? All right, so let's look at the drawing. So here's our drawing. We need to create this block, and then we're gonna add these few holes in here. We're gonna utilize these dimensions and also these dimensions up here, okay? So the first thing, we're gonna create a block that is 2 inches by 3 inches, okay? And then I would say going across, we're looking at maybe about, let's see, that's a 1/4 of an inch, another 1/4. We're gonna make it about 6 inches going across, okay? I realize that dimension's not on there, but we're gonna assume it's gonna be 6, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a rectangle that's a 3 by 6, and I'm gonna extrude it back to a thickness of 2, okay? So we're gonna go to Fusion, open up a new file. We're gonna create a sketch on this front face, okay? And we're gonna draw a rectangle starting at the origin and then clicking over here. And then we're gonna click on D for the dimension tool. The height of this, again, we said is 3 inches. Hit enter. And then the width of this is our 6 inches, okay? I only typed in the number because my document is already in the settings for inches. All right, and then we're gonna hit finish sketch. I'm gonna rotate it so I can see it 3D. I'm going to extrude this object, and again, it's a distance of 2 inches. And then enter, so now we have our block, okay? Similar to, again, what's over here. And from this block, now we need to add these few holes in here, okay? The first thing I'm gonna do really quick though is I'm gonna draw a sketch on the top and identify kind of the, where these holes are. In order for us to create them. So I'm gonna click on our top part. I'm gonna create a sketch. I'm gonna move it over to the center by clicking on my scroll. And I'm gonna draw a line. However, I'm gonna make it over here a construction line. And I'm gonna draw a line, find the midpoint, click, and draw a construction line going all the way across. And the reason being is we're just gonna verify the dimension. From here to here, that should be 1. And yep, create driven. Driven just means that it's already constrained to the midpoint. And the midpoint of this 2-inch side is at 1 inches, okay? And again, the purpose of that is just to locate where this line is, which is where all the center of these circles need to be, okay? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do our first circle, which is this one right here. It's a simple circle, or simple hole, and it goes all the way through, okay? And it has a diameter of 0.5 inches all the way through. So I'm gonna go to Fusion. I'm gonna go over here, finish our sketch because we drew that line, okay? And then we're gonna click on our hole tool, okay? I'm gonna go over here to look at the details. We are just doing a hole on this side, okay? And if you notice right now, I can click and hold and drag it all over, right? And it makes it kind of tricky. And I know you can kind of see it, but it doesn't really snap to anything. So let's do a few things. Number one, we have to change this diameter, which is down here at the bottom, to 0.5, okay? The second thing is the distance. It needs to go all the way through, okay? So I need to change this to all, right? And that way it goes all the way through, okay? The second step is these reference sides. We need to reference how far away from these sides. So I'm going to click on the first reference, click on this edge, and it needs to be, if I look at the arrows, right, zoom in, it needs to be 1 inch away, right, so that it's on that line. And I drew that construction line earlier so we could make sure. There we go. And that looks good for a distance over. We have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And we know this whole distance is 6. So as long as we'll just make it 1 inch also away from that end. So I'm gonna now click on the other reference edge down here, and I'm gonna click on now this edge, and I also want that to be at 1 inch away. And now, again, I'm verifying this is how far down it's going, and it is going 3 inches, which is right because 3 inches is the height, so that means it's going all the way through. So click OK. Now, if you notice, it's gone all the way through, and just rotate it to check. All right, now we're gonna look at the drawing and do hole 2. So hole 2 is this one, and if I look here, it is a counter bore hole, okay, which has that step down, and it's also indicated by this little step down here, okay? So what this means, if I read from the top, is that the smaller diameter of the hole in the middle has a diameter of 0.375, and that goes down a distance of 2, okay? And then that counter bore, though, which is the top part, that diameter is 0.75, and that little top part goes down 1/2 inch. Okay, and again, it's situated on that line. So let's go over to Fusion, click on the hole tool, okay? I'm gonna click on this face, and now we need to select the hole type. So the hole type we said is counter bore. There is a distance, right? And that top distance, that counter bore distance, was that 0.75, okay? And that went down a distance of, let's look at our drawing, so 0.75, it went down a distance of 0.5. So I'm going to change this to 0.5, okay? And then let's do down here, the diameter here was, I believe, 0.375, yep. So 0.375, okay? And that one, it went down a distance of not 3 inches, but I believe it was 2 if we look at our drawings. Yeah, so if I look at this top reading, it says that smaller diameter goes down a distance of 2 inches. So that's what I'm gonna change this distance to, not 3, but 2, okay? All right, now we gotta select our reference edges so we can locate where the hole is. So I'm gonna click on the first one, click away, and again, that should be 1 inch, okay? Now I'm gonna click on here and click on the second one. And yeah, let's make that about 2 inches, okay? Awesome. And now let's go ahead and click OK, and we should see our counter bore hole that goes all the way through. That does have a point on it, and I'm gonna double check on here to see, yep, looks like it has a point there, so we're good. Okay, now we're gonna do the third hole, which is this counter sink hole, okay? And that one is, we'll say that this one is like, I don't know, 3.5 inches away, just to kind of give it a little bit more space if we want to. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to click on the hole. We're going to put the hole on this face. I need to locate it, right? But before we locate it and do the reference angles, we need to click that it's a countersink hole, okay? And looking at our dimensions, this one right here, okay? The smaller diameter of the smaller, because if you notice this is smaller than where it says the countersink part is. So the countersink is at 1 inch diameter, but the actual small diameter of the hole is at 1/4 of an inch. So let's change those in our dimension tool. So this indicates the larger one. That one should be at 1 inch. And then our smaller one we said was at 1/4 of an inch. So change that, okay? And then the distance down, it goes down a distance of 2.25, and then that countersink angle is 82 degrees, okay? So over here, goes down a distance of, here's our distance down, 2.25, and the angle here is 82 degrees, which matches, so that's good. All right, so now we got to locate it, right? Where we said from here, we're going to do actually 3.5 inches. Great. And then the next edge, we need to do from this edge, and we also want that to be in the middle on that dashed construction line, and that looks good, so click OK. And now there is our countersink hole. Okay, so now we have one more hole we got to do. Look at the drawing. This one right here, this is a counter bore hole. So on this counter bore hole, the smaller diameter is 1/2 inch, the larger top diameter is 0.75. So I'm going to click on the hole tool, click on the top, click on our, we said it was a counter bore, right? Yep, another counter bore hole. Okay, so I'm going to change it to counter bore, and I'm going to move this over so I can see what's going on. Our diameter and depth, so if I look here, this one actually goes all the way through. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to change. The distance needs to go all. Okay, the second thing I'm going to change is the smaller diameter of the smaller hole in the middle is 0.5, so let's change that, which if I look here, that smaller diameter is down here, so I'm going to change that to 0.5. And then the top diameter, it says that it's going to be 0.75. Good, so I believe that already is 0.75, yep. But then we need to know how far it goes down, and it goes down 0.625. So here, this top bore part is 0.625. So I'm going to change that to 0.625. Okay, and now we need to locate it. So from this edge, we're going to have it be 1 inch. Okay, and then also from this side, we're going to have it be 1 inch. Okay, and then click OK. So now we have our 4 holes. Okay. The next part that we have to figure out, if I look at this drawing, is we want to get this section view. Okay, so this is the video and it tells you what to turn in, but we're going to use the section analysis tool in order to kind of pull it back so you can kind of verify that it looks like this. All right, so in Fusion, I'm going to click on the home icon so that I can see it nice and clear. Okay, you're going to go over to this inspect tool, and we're going to go to where it says section analysis. Okay, there is a section analysis here, so we can click on this plane because we have to reference what plane it is, and then click OK. And then the cool thing, whoops, I clicked on, I think, the wrong one. I meant to go plane through there. So we're going to go back, hit one back. We actually need to create a plane in the middle here along our dashed line. So before we click on that section analysis, we're going to click on construct. And we are actually going to click on a mid plane because we want a plane in the middle of this edge and this edge. And if you notice in yellow, this plane popped up in the middle. Okay, that's what we call a mid plane. Click OK. So we want to create a section analysis on that plane because that's what cuts it right through the middle. So we're going to go now to inspect. Sorry about that. Section analysis. And then click on this plane in the middle. And if you notice, it shows what's going on the inside. You can even adjust it if you want to kind of see, okay? But we don't want to click it right there in the middle and then click OK. And the cool thing is, again, you can see now the analysis and verify that this section looks like the one that's provided here. Okay, so just turn this at a 3D view at an angle, take a screenshot, make sure you get the full screen. You can make sure to save this as, you can put it as our making holes in Fusion. And then make sure you put your initials and make sure it's saved in your assignments.